Awesome. Well, I'm super excited to have everybody here. This is the first one of the Tiny Talks, the very first Tiny Talk. And yeah, so hopefully, barring any tech complications, it'll go great. I'm super excited to have Shannyn here today. So the kind of the order of things is that I'll give a super short tiny talk. So the idea of a tiny talk is that it's like 12 to 15 minutes, kind of somewhere in there, and it's just a really short, bite-sized piece of information. So I know for a lot of us small business owners and things like that, learning takes a lot of brain power. It's really it can take a lot. And as I was sort of thinking about getting these tiny talks launched, I was thinking about how many things I personally have kind of hesitated to learn more about because I just didn't feel like I had the time or the bandwidth to dive in and learn everything about a topic. And then realizing that like that comes from perfectionism. And it is okay to learn like just a little bit about something because when you learn a little bit about something, that's when you can make the decision, oh, I want to learn a lot more about that thing. Or, you know what, actually, that's not going to help me out so much. And it just makes it a lot more easy, a lot more accessible, and hopefully gives you like a little nugget to kind of, yeah, just make those decisions for yourself and in your business. And something that I feel really excited about with how Tiny Talks has come together is that each month it's going to be a pairing of one kind of technical skill, so one hard skill that you as a small business owner might need to have or definitely need to have depending on what you do. So today I'm the hard skill, the technical skill, which is all about awesome home pages. So this is something that comes up all the time is like, how do we, what do we need on a homepage? What do you actually need to have on a homepage? Sometimes people have way too much, sometimes people have not enough. So I wanted to tackle that today. And then the other pairing of the topic is going to be sort of the soft skill or like the life skill that business owners need. So myself and a lot of the folks that I work with are ADHD or autistic or just think really differently or see the world differently. And so I'm super excited to be paired each month with somebody who has more specialty in that type of topic. So life skills that are really awesome for ADHD solopreneurs, for example, and things like that. All right. Well, without further ado, I guess let's go ahead and get into it. I am turning my visual timer. If anybody else has visual timers, you know how great these are, how much I love them. Awesome. So, okay. So my name is Lark Frazier. I'm a web designer and a tech stuff educator. So I specifically work with tiny businesses and nonprofits who just need some assistance with figuring out how to be a business online in 2025. There's a lot to it. And I'd love sharing my expertise about all of that stuff. My pronouns are she and they. I live in Asheville, North Carolina. I love Lord of the Rings. That's your only other fun fact. All right, so let me share my screen here. All right. Are you able to see this okay? This ultimate guide to homepage magic? Excellent. Okay, so this specifically is great for like service providers. So that's really specifically who I have in mind for this checklist, this guide. It also applies to e-com businesses, but it often will look really different in e-commerce. And so I've kind of tailored this to be, yeah, more about service providers. So dog groomers, I know my friend Emily's in here today. Dog groomers, coaches, therapists, mental health professionals, web designers, lots of folks like that. Really anyone who has like a story-driven business, right? Where you really want people to connect with the story of who you are and why you do what you do. All right, so we're going to start with just the checklist, right? And then we'll kind of get, we'll go through it a little more closely. I love things with googly eyes. I don't know why. I just really love them. So they've sort of crept into my branding everywhere, and I'm just going to go with it. I found one in my garden the other day. That was really funny. I don't know where it came from. All right, so the checklist here at the top, and by the way, I will be sending you all this graphic afterwards. So this checklist is really just for you to be able to go through your own homepage, or if you want to go through and kind of evaluate another website to get a sense of what I'm talking about, that's what this here at the top is for. All right, so an awesome homepage. The very first thing is having an excellent navigation menu, right? An excellent header. Your navigation menu is things like home, services, about, contact us, things like that. And the most important thing to know there is that it needs to be clear. Clear is better than clever when it comes to a navigation menu. Clever is just, it can confuse people, and it just way more often results in people not realizing that something that's there for them is for them to click on. So you always want to just make sure that it's simple, it's clear, there's not 25 things stuffed in a drop-down menu. That's really what there is to know about that as far as this goes. And then this is what I call the hero section, right? So when you first pop into a website, you've got this awesome headline and an awesome tagline and then an awesome call to action. And a lot of things that people miss here is having the call to action. The other thing that I see people miss in websites here is having information that isn't really clear up top. So if you are a coach, maybe like an example of a headline that I've seen is like, I empower women. Right. So that may be what you do, but that's not really going to help you out with Google SEO. And it's not going to help people who are strangers immediately figure out what you do. Right. So a better example would be uh, I empower women with ADHD in their businesses, right? For example, that would be a much better headline to start with. So you just want something super clear, super relatable, and then a call to action, typically to like your most important service or the most important place that you want to drive people to. So along the left here, I always like to think of a homepage as it's really like building that relationship. So we start as a total stranger, right? When someone lands on your website, we want to assume they're a complete stranger, even if they know you through word of mouth or, whatever. Assume they're a stranger. So don't come in hot and like tell them your whole life story, right? Offer them a handshake. That's sort of what I think of as the top. So the next things that are important, I have them broken out in three different sections, but they can actually really just be one section, sort of depending on how you ease people into it, right? So what you do, what makes you different, who you are, which is just a really short introduction, right? It's not your entire bio, it's not where you went to college. It's just a really short blurb about who you or what your company is, and then how you do it, right? A quick overview of your services, products, whatever it is that you offer. And so this can look really, really different on different websites, right? But this is that you've now shaken someone's hand and you're just telling them kind of your just bare bones overview that just makes people a little more interested. They say, oh yeah, I want to get to know this person. So typically with these things, I see that people want to put it all in words, right? And then it ends up being like 500 words on a homepage, which is like too much. So I always encourage people to think a little bit differently about these things can also be images, right? So this is a really powerful way to keep a homepage concise and clear, is use images of you in your business, or of the people that work for you in your business, or of your office, or whatever it is, to sort of help tell this story, right? You can also, it's a little more like high level, but you can use stock photography in really like selective ways in order to tell people the story of who you are, what you do, and how you do it. How you do it is generally good to be like a little more concrete, but what you do and who you are, I love being able to use visuals to help do that. So then once we've kind of introduced people to ourselves and they're acquainted, that's when they get kind of interested. And this is like the key, right? So these last pieces right here, why you do it, right? And for most of us in tiny businesses and nonprofits and organizations and things like that, the why that we do something is the impact that we have, right? It's like I wouldn't do this if I didn't love that it really helped out small business owners, right? Like a website is a website, whatever. But I like the impact that I have on people, and I like that I help people do the things that they love to do. And so, yeah, so that can be your testimonials, that can be your past work, so portfolio images, that can be, yeah, lots of different things like that. That can be photos. Like one of my clients, they have a transportation company, like they're a party bus. And so past work is like a bunch of people who are having a great time on a party bus, right? That sort of helps pull people in. So why you do it, and then your invitation. So this is the other thing that often, especially for newer businesses who maybe don't have the confidence to say like, yes, I trust that people want to engage with me. I trust that what I offer is cool enough, is unique enough, is strong enough that people want to find me afterwards. And this is also important because, you know, I I guess like how many websites have you looked at and then forgotten? It's probably a lot, right? It's probably a ton. I don't even know that I could put a number on it. But this is the way that you kind of sidestep that, right? Is you say you catch people while they're absolutely the most interested in you, which is right when they land on your website, right? It's like right when they first find you and decide to read your website, and then when they purchase from you. Like those are the two times that people are the most stoked about who you are and what you do. And so making sure you have a really clear invitation, right? Whether that's just join an email newsletter, whether that's, hey, I have this freebie for you in exchange for your email, whether that's follow me on Instagram, or, you know, whatever kind of your most important marketing channel is, make sure that this is on your homepage and super clear and like super easy to engage with. Um, and I guess a note on that is I have this sort of towards the bottom here, but all of this is like movable. All of this is, these are all components that can be plugged in different orders to really tell a great story on a homepage. Okay, so now we've moved from stranger to acquaintance to interested, and then we get to follower and future friend. So this is where having something alive is really important on your website. So something alive is, it's both helpful to the people who are visiting your website because it lets them know you're still around, you're still in business, you still do what you do. Um, you know, there's definitely websites, especially if a website is really dated, where like I'll look at it and I think like, I think this person might not have done anything in 15 years. Like I have no idea. Uh, my dumb example of that is that there's a dog chiropractor in my town that I like wanted to have my dog seen by, and I genuinely like thought that they had been out of business for years because their website just hasn't been updated. It looks the same. So something alive, if you're already using Instagram, if you're already using YouTube, if you're already using another marketing channel, this is a great place to plug that into, right? So that this isn't something that's additional maintenance for you. It's not an additional task for you to do every week or month or whatever. It just happens automatically. That's like the best is that it's your something alive isn't an additional task. The other great option here is a blog, right? So this is a part of why a blog is a great part of a website strategy. So Google and SEO loves like SEO optimization is having a website that's alive and really well interconnected. So you have a lot of linking between pages. You have a fair number of pages. All of that is really important and tells Google you're a real person who does real things and people really care about you. And so, yeah, so blogging is an excellent strategy just for that alone. Honestly, whether or not anyone even reads your blog, it will still help you out with SEO on Google. And it's a nice little something alive piece on your homepage. All right, and then the very last piece is just a great footer, right? So if you are a physical location, having your number, having your Google Maps, having, you know, whatever you need in your footer. And then it's also a great place to direct people to services that aren't in your header, right? So that are also important, but they're maybe like second tier important. You know, they're not the top thing that someone would click on, but you want to make sure people know that they're out there. So that's sort of the components. And then these are more like the vibey, like the subjective pieces, right? So 10-second rule, someone has to be able to tell what you do within 10 seconds of looking at your website. I know that seems really fast, and that's because it is really fast. So it's really hard, especially for us that are wordy. And so I would recommend, with this 10-second rule, um, genuinely find a stranger. I know that sounds weird. It's okay if you're introverted and you don't want to do it and you want to find somebody who's like sort of a stranger. But genuinely try to find someone. Go to a coffee shop, ask someone next to you to look at your website for just the shortest amount of time and just say, can you tell what I do? That's a great one if you're not sure. Having a great visual narrative, right? So does like the vibe of your site, the images, colors, fonts, does all of that feel like you? Does it tell the story of who you are, what you do, and how you're different? Again, for me, these freaking googly eyes that are everywhere, but I love it because I want my business to feel alive. I want it to feel fun. I want all of this website to feel like not scary, and it's okay to like get a little silly with it. So that's the visual narrative there. Clear, concise copy is your friend, I promise you. Pretty much anything can be made more concise. So this is one that you can always do a check on your homepage to make sure it's as concise as possible. And then following that relationship structure from stranger to acquaintance to follower, right? Really respecting that people who show up on your website, they're not immediately ready to buy from you. They're not immediately ready to like follow you on Instagram right at the very top of your page, right? But you want to respect that people need like a minute to warm up. They want to be welcomed in. They need to be kind of shown the story of who you are before you're really like making a big ask of them. And I think for most of us, like when our website is structured that way, it ends up feeling better for us too, right? Especially service providers who like, we want to work with the people that we're a good fit with. So it ends up feeling better. Great, clear call to action. That's important. Most people, I would say, especially folks who have DIY'd their website, don't have enough call to actions on their website because they're a little afraid to put themselves out there. So you can probably put in more than you think that you need. And because you can always take some out, right? You can always take some out if you feel like you look back and it's confusing. But generally, I find people err on the side of there aren't enough ways to engage with you. And then finally, just has heart, right? Of course, this is a template. Of course, this is a checklist. But ultimately, your website should feel like you, and it should feel you should be able, or your business or your organization should be able to be felt through your website, and it shouldn't feel generic. And that's the last thing that I've got for you. Yeah, so that is my tour of homepage magic. Like I said, I will absolutely send this out. Or you can take a screenshot or whatever you'd like to do. And yeah, I'm excited. I would love to kind of see some different homepages. If you ever like have a question about a homepage or you want to chat with me, please hop on my calendar. I love to talk to people about this stuff. And that is my time. So we'll take like a couple minutes for questions after each talk. So I see some stuff. Emily, yep, I think Emily heard my shout out to her dog grooming salon. Milquia says, I love this. My homepage needs a revamp. Yeah, I feel like my homepage needs a revamp often. All right. Are there any other questions about homepages or about any of the stuff that I mentioned here in this ultimate guide? Awesome. Cool. Well, oh yeah, how often, good question. Yeah, Jillian, how often do you recommend a revamp or review? That's a great question. I recommend definitely quarterly. If it's something that feels like it's a challenge for you to do, like if it's something getting in your website is like, oh, I have to do this thing, put it on your calendar once a quarter to make sure that you do it. It's okay to not do it more often than that, but you want to make sure it's seasonally appropriate. So, yeah, it's seasonally appropriate. You want to make sure that I think also like people tend to shift kind of within their business or they notice different trends about quarterly. And so, sometimes you might realize like, oh gosh, I've been fielding a ton of questions about do I take walk-ins or whatever? And then once a quarter, make time to like go adjust that on your website, make it more clear. And then if you love it and you do it too much, like I probably do, then do it less, like maybe once a month. But yeah, really, I don't know that there's like a magic number. Yeah. Okay. What are some other examples of something alive to share on the homepage? Ooh, good question. Events. So events are another great example of things. So like I have a client who they're like um, they're a local to me nonprofit. And they work with kids, so like after school programming. And so the thing that makes their website look really alive, well, there's a couple things I'll share real quick. Yeah. Jody says, can you share live? Definitely. Um, oh, I'm so proud of them. They already updated their website. They got a little behind on their website updates, which is totally fine, but I'm happy to see that they have that up again. Okay, so yeah, so they have this thing going on, Merch Madness. So they just rolled out a bunch of new merch, right, to help support their after school programs. So this is something that they have set up as a pop-up on their website, which is awesome. That's another way to do something alive. And then they also have this banner, which is another awesome way if you're on Squarespace. It's really easy to keep something alive. And for also, it doesn't, this is obviously an exciting example, but an easier example could be, sorry, we're not grooming dogs on Memorial Day. Sorry, we take Christmas off. That's totally fine too. Just things like that, that just let people know you're paying attention. This is another really cool example on this website. So they put out, because they're a nonprofit, they put out an annual report. And so this doubles as their something alive and as their impact, their why we do what we do, right? So their last year by the numbers, they update this once a year with how many students they served, what their various like achievement levels were and how they met their goals and things like that. So yeah, so that's a great example of that. I love their website. It's so cute. It gives me so much dopamine. Yeah, that's okay. Might have missed this. How often should you be updating your website, adding something alive? Ideally, if you add something alive, it will just happen constantly, right? Um, and then I would say between like once a month and once a quarter, sort of depending on how you feel about doing your website update tasks. Oh, switching out your photos too is another easy way to sort of keep your website looking alive, is that it's not the same photos for 10 years. Yeah, awesome. Cool. These are really great questions. All right. Well, I want to make sure we respect everybody's time, and I want to make sure we give Shannyn plenty of time. I'm personally really excited for Shannyn's talk, the first 5 minutes. Yeah, so thank you all so much. And if you have any other questions, just shoot me a note. I'm happy to talk. All right, I will turn it over to Shannyn Schroeder of the F-Bomb Coach, which, by the way, I love that name so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah.
Yes, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Shannyn Schroeder. My business is F-Bomb Coach, so it's EF for executive function, because that's what I am. I'm an executive function coach. And my business is coaching and information to help neurodivergent women calm some of the chaos in their lives. So what does that mean? So I'm going to take a step back for a minute, because a lot of people may not know what executive functioning is. And so I just want to lay the groundwork there before you are like, what the heck does any of that mean? Executive function skills are the life skills we're expected to have as adults. They are the skill, like when we talk about, adulting is hard, those are the skills we're talking about. Organization, planning, prioritization, time management, task initiation, all of those skills. And if you are neurodivergent, ADHD, autism, you have extreme anxiety, depression, other mental health issues, all of that is under the big umbrella of neurodivergence. And the chances of you struggling with executive dysfunction skyrocket with any of those kinds of issues. Sorry, my dogs are squealing now to go outside, as they do. Hopefully it's not too loud for the rest of you. So I'm going to talk today, because executive function, when you talk about these skills, there are a lot of different skills. I typically talk about 7 or 8 skills, depending, like if you just Google a list, you're going to get a list, and some people disagree about what things are and how they group together. It doesn't matter. Really does not. Okay. Because if you're struggling with it, you're like, I don't care what it's called. Just help me. So we're going to talk today about the first 5 minutes, and the skill that relates to is task initiation. And task initiation is the getting started skill. And everybody, all human beings sometimes struggle with this, right? Especially if it's something that you don't like, right? We look at that pile of laundry, you're like, yeah, I should really do the laundry, but I don't want to, right? That's a normal kind of thing. If you are neurodivergent, though, it like ratchets up a whole lot. And it's not just, oh, there's that pile of laundry, I should do it, but there's a pile of laundry, I should do it. Man, I'm like out of underwear, I should really do it. And you still can't make yourself do it. Okay. If you struggle with task initiation because of executive dysfunction and neurodivergence, it's, you know what? I really love knitting. I'm working on knitting this hat. I love doing it. I want to do it. I still can't make myself start. Okay. So when, I'm sorry, when we're talking about having that struggle, that getting over the task initiation, that's the difference. Being like, well, everybody has a heart. Yes, everybody does sometimes. But for people who have executive dysfunction, it's a real problem because they even for things they want to do, they can't do it. So the first 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes, I'm talking about setting a 5-minute goal. And it may seem silly. So I just want you to keep an open mind right now. But when you are looking at something and you know you have to do it, especially for those things you're dreading, if you just set a 5-minute goal, what does that look like? Setting a timer for 5 minutes. Before you start the timer, though, you say, okay, what is this task I need to do? If you can, break it down to the smallest steps possible, because small steps are always easier to make movement, make progress on. Okay, so if you can break it down, and then you set the timer and you tell yourself, I only have to do this for 5 minutes. When the timer goes off, I can walk away. And part of it is that as human beings, most of us, neurotypical, neurodivergent, we can convince ourselves to do almost anything for 5 minutes. 5 minutes is not a huge chunk of time, right? Just like if you were a kid, your mother put like the worst dinner in front of you, you're like, okay, I can eat like 5 bites, right? Even if you're swallowing it whole, you're going to get it down. Like we can make ourselves do just about anything. And doing that allows you to actually start. But here's the thing. There's a couple of caveats with doing this because a lot of people are like, well, I'll set the timer, but then when the timer goes off, I'm just going to plow through. I'm going to make myself do it. Okay. Um, you could. Are you going to be productive? Nope. What's going to end up happening is that you will spend 20 minutes sitting there to get 5 minutes of work done. Whereas if you just tell yourself, here's my 5-minute goal. I'm not going to finish this task in 5 minutes unless it happens to be an actual 5-minute task. But it's not about telling yourself, I'm going to get this thing done. I'm going to be able to mark it off my to-do list. I'm just going to start it. That's all it is. I am going to give it my full focus for 5 minutes. And when you do that, then you will actually start to see the progress. But you have to let yourself off the hook when that timer goes off. You have to walk away. And that is hard, and it is counterintuitive for most of us because we've all lived in our world where we've been told, just do it. Just plow through. Just keep going and you'll get it done. Eventually, yeah. But something that should take, 30 minutes is now going to take you an hour and a half. And you've wasted all kinds of other times that you, time that you could be doing other things. So first and foremost, timer goes off. You have to then assess. For a lot of people, the timer goes off and you might be feeling it. You're like, I can keep going. Like it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. And if that's the case, then by all means, keep going. If you're in the zone and you're like, I can do this and you want to keep going, keep going. Awesome. But if you're like, man, the timer went off and this sucks, walk away. It doesn't mean you're walking away forever. It doesn't mean that you're abandoning it. It means that you're done with it for now. And you're going to go off and you're going to do something else. And then later on, you're going to come back and you'll do another 5 minutes. And you may be sitting there right now saying, but Shannyn, if I'm only going to be doing it 5 minutes at a time, isn't it still going to take me an hour and a half? Maybe. But in the meantime, you're not wasting all of that in between time. You're not wasting the other 20, 25 minutes where you're sitting there doing nothing. More importantly, you're not beating yourself up for all of that wasted time. You're not sitting there telling yourself, what the hell's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? Everybody else could just sit down and do it. You let go of all of that because you've met your goal. You did the 5 minutes and your brain is happy with that. It makes it easier to keep going. Your brain likes the dopamine hit. Your brain likes to actually see things happening, seeing the progress. Part of what makes it hard to start is that you look at the task and it's a big task. Okay. That's why we say try and break it down when you can. But even if it's broken down, even that little task might seem like a lot because there's nothing. It's like a whole blank page. How do I fill this page? I don't know. That's a lot. Right. But if all you say is, you know what? I just have to like write for 5 minutes. Well, you know what? At the end of 5 minutes, even if you only have 3 sentences, it's not a blank page anymore. And when you go back, now your brain's like, oh, it's not so bad. It's not a blank page. I could just add to it. And oftentimes, even if when that first 5 minute goal is done, you might not be feeling it. You might be like, timer went off, I'm out. And then when you go back though, the second time or the third time, now your brain's like, look, we're way closer to being done than we were before. Maybe we can push through this time because it's not so bad. The other downside of just pushing through is that outside of the wasting time, you are not honoring what your brain wants. And that is just all around not healthy. If you cannot follow through to finish a task, it's your brain's way of saying, I'm not in it. And you can't, as much as we'd like to believe, force our brains to do everything we want it to do. If you are someone who is struggling with any kind of neurodivergence, you might know this. I hope you know this about yourself. If your brain doesn't want to do it, it's not gonna. So when you do the 5 minute goals, you're like, but aren't you making your brain do it? Not really, because you're giving it an out. You're saying, look, we can do this. It's got to get done, right? I have that huge pile of laundry. Maybe I'm not gonna do it. You know what? I'm gonna wash the underwear. So I got underwear for tomorrow, right? I'm not doing the whole thing. I'm just pulling out the underwear. And your brain's like, okay, I'm not going to ignore the rest of this pile for right now because I did this one thing and I can feel good about it. And once your brain feels good, it's more receptive to do other things. So part of it is a lot of mindset shifts because we do live in a world where it's like you have to check things off on your to-do list. Well, I can't check off laundry if I didn't do all of the laundry, right? But if I did the underwear, you know what? I can go to work tomorrow and I'm okay because I've got underwear. Okay. Um, so I want you to like keep in mind that those 5 minute goals, oftentimes we look at it and we're like, well, that's nothing. It's not, but it is. You're making that progress. You're honoring the way your brain needs breaks or needs to refocus or reset itself. Um, and that is a really hard thing, especially for women, double especially for neurodivergent women, because many of you might not have even been diagnosed until you were well into adulthood because it's ignored. It is absolutely no, Emily, I am not talking to you about laundry. I just know my people. um, because understanding neurodivergence in women is hard. And we beat ourselves up about everything. And so to look at that pile of laundry and say, well, why isn't it done? I'm a bad human because I can't be like everyone else. And that's not the case. So you really do have to shift the way you look at things. And it's not about, I got to get it done. It's about, I have to make progress. And if that means you have to make progress in 5 minute chunks, so be it. Progress is progress. Okay. See, I did it in 10 minutes. Yes. I am more than happy to answer any questions. I do have, for anybody who is kind of new to executive function, I will put a link in the chat. I have a freebie called F This, in case you haven't noticed, I like puns because I was in teacher mode. I did not drop any actual F-bombs, but I do often. It is just a printable that kind of walks you through what the executive function skills are, what they look like in like neurotypical people, and then what you might be struggling with if you're neurodivergent. And then I have a couple of like quick tips. So it is a freebie. You can just sign up and get it, and it will be delivered to your inbox. But if anybody has any questions, I am here and I will answer them.
Shannon, I have a question.
Sure.
What happens if you set a timer for 5 minutes and you still don't do anything? What would you do?
So part of that becomes like the self-talk piece. And I am not like bribery is not above me. Like you can absolutely like again, we're talking about those dopamine hits. Like what's going to make my brain happy? If it's, you know what, if I do this for 5 minutes, then I can go look at TikTok for 5 minutes. If I do this for 5 minutes, I can go open my jar of M&Ms and have 5 M&Ms. You know, like it it might feel kind of like childish for lack of a better word, because that's what we do with kids all the time, but there's a reason why it works, right? We want our brain to be happy, and those kinds of things make our brain happy. So it's like, and the more you do it, more often than not, the fewer bribes you're going to need, because you're training your brain. Like I can do it for 5 minutes, and 5 minutes isn't that long. So, and then, you know, once you get good at 5 minutes, then you can start expanding, and it could be, 10 minutes this time. So yes, bribe yourself. Bribery works.
I love that. That's a great idea. I keep stickers. I have like a box of stickers right here. And on my really hard days, I make a to-do list of very small tasks, and then I just give myself a sticker for
Yes,
it's so dumb, but it's just
that's
like
it. Yes, that you get a sticker. That's good.
a penny worth of dopamine just really goes a long way on a really hard day.
Emily says, how do you deal with decision paralysis, or how to start, or what to start with? So, breaking a task down is always the best thing. Like the smallest steps, like ridiculously small. Like if someone, like if your neurotypical friend looked at your list, like, what the hell did you write that down for? Like, it's a no-brainer. Like things like, okay, I have to write a report. Step 1, turn on computer. Step 2, do Google Doc. Right? Like that is something that we do like on autopilot when we know we have to do something. But you know what? When you're dreading doing it, when you could say, I turned on my computer, check, I got a sticker because I did that. Your brain's gonna be like, oh wait, that was easy. Let's go do another one, because you're almost gamifying it. Like, how many of these can I get done? So the smaller steps that you can make it, because then they're not insurmountable. A report feels really huge. Turning on the computer, easy, right? It's a win. So like the smallest steps you can possibly do it. Because then even if you set the 5 minute goal and you wasted 3 of those 5 minutes, you still did something for the other 2, right? There's still that progress. And every time you go back, the easier it is to jump back into it because you have some progress. Jody says sometimes she writes down 3 things and roll the dice, or have somebody else pick a number. That's a good way to, like, if it doesn't matter, all things equal, like priority wise, yes, you could just pick a number. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. It all works. Mel Robbins' podcast, where she interviewed somebody who said, I signed up so my family would have clean clothes. I never signed up to make sure there weren't ever any dirty ones. Yes. Right. Your family has clean clothes. There's always, and it doesn't matter. Even if you were the most on top of things person, there's always more dishes. Like the minute you finish washing the dishes, someone's going to come in and put another one there. It's never ending. The Clean House While Drowning, that is a book that is recommended everywhere. So if you haven't get it, check it out at the library. Any other questions?
I was just gonna say my favorite quote from that book that literally changed my life. I forget that author's name, Casey something. The quote is, anything worth doing is worth doing a little.
Yes.
And like that revolutionized my life, where I was like, oh, I don't like, if I'm having a hard time, maybe I just wash a dish.
Right.
Wash
Yes.
one dish and walk away. Put some forks in some water.
Yep.
So that's my favorite quote as well from that book. I listened to the audiobook and then I bought the book so that I could go back and highlight stuff. But dishes suck, man. I don't know why the amount dishes is the worst, but I don't like it.
There are some things that are worse for me. I'm okay with just, I don't really like it, but like cleaning the bathroom is way worse. especially the tub. I hate cleaning the tub. I don't care
Mm.
about the rest of the bathroom. The tub, I don't know. It just annoys me. Um, but yes, so things like dishes, like, okay, how do I make myself do the dishes? Maybe don't look at the whole pile. What do I really need right now? You know what? I have a bowl of cereal. I need a spoon. Wash a spoon. Maybe wash two so someone else can have a bowl of cereal. Does it matter? It's enough to get you to the next step.
Okay.
So, breaking things down that way is like, what's the absolute bare minimum I have to do so that I can do something else? That's all you have to do, because it is progress, and you have to accept that something like housework, it's never ending. It doesn't matter that you just did it. Didn't, yeah, you know what? I just cooked dinner last night. Do I got to cook it again tonight? Yes.
Oh,
Like it
that's
or
the
not.
never-ending cycle that I can't stand. The grocery shopping, the dishes, the food, the eating of the food. Don't even get me started. I do have a
Yep.
question. What do you think about body doubling? I'm a big fan of body doubling, but it was a self-coping skill.
You know what? Body doubling is something that I recommend for the people that it works for.
Okay.
For some people, they're like it. The idea of, for those of you who don't know, body doubling is just having another person present so that you can get work done. You don't have to talk about it, depending on what kind of body doubling you have going on. You don't have to talk. They're not working on the same thing that you're working on. It's literally just the presence of another human being. And for some people, it works really well. Some people like to have the accountability of like, I'm doing co-working, so I'm going to check in with you. I'm going to tell you, this is what I'm working on for this hour. And then you kind of like, because you put it out in the world and you've got someone who's there to help you with accountability, then at the end of the hour, I'm like, so how much did you get done? Other people, they just need like a physical human being there makes us want to get things done. And I've seen this for my children are all grown, but to this day, when it's laundry time, I still joke, my daughters are grown, they're in their 20s. Is laundry hour. They will put on music and they like get the laundry out of my laundry room. And they will just play music and then they put it away because they're both doing it at the same time. So body doubling, awesome if you have people that you can do it with. I mean, there's apps that you can sign up for, FocusMate, Flown, where you can sign up and it's virtual body doubling, basically co-working. But for some people, it kind of freaks them out because then it's like someone's watching me. I can't work with someone watching me. What if they catch me because I just decided to go and look at Facebook or Threads and I'm supposed to be working and they're not even paying attention to you, but it's that feeling of being watched. So, like I said, if it works, go for it. It's awesome, but if it freaks you out, find a different strategy. Any other
Awesome.
questions?
Well, oh yeah, sorry if there's any other questions.
I'm just looking to see.
Cool.
Um,
What
no,
I
I
was going
think
to
that was
say
it.
was I would love to just kind of wrap up the recording
Mhm.
and then give the people the option to stay on. And if we want to just kind of have a more casual hangout, I'm happy to do that. I just want to return the recording off so that way we can like give people that moment.
I
So
get it. We're all good.
okay, cool. Awesome. Well, you guys, this has been so awesome. Thank you so much for coming to the very first Tiny Talk. It was great. And the next one will be, I'm just looking at my calendar, it'll be June 9th. And we will have Melquia Smith, who's here with us today. I'm super excited about that. It's going to be about content brainstorming. And the other topic will be blogging is not dead. Yeah, so super excited. Another good double pairing. Shannyn, thank you so much for being here and being my guinea pig on the first one. I
Well,
really
thank you so
appreciate
much
you.
for having me. It's been a lot of fun, and I don't ever
Yeah,
mind being a guinea pig. It's all good.
yeah, sweet. I took so many notes while you were talking, even though it was only 10 minutes. I have a whole page full of things to remember. So
Good. I
yeah,
hope it was helpful.
absolutely. Awesome. All right. Well, thanks so much.